So we got a nice light day here in the news. Just Dominion software may or may not have deleted 2.7 million votes. Michigan's a little bit fucked up right now. Arizona's run by somebody who sees Nazis everywhere. But you know what? It's nothing that's terribly different than what's been happening over the past 4 years. But let's start up in here with the Commander-in-Chief himself. Report: Dominion deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide. Data analysis finds 221,000 Pennsylvania votes switched from President Trump to Biden. 941,000 Trump votes deleted. States using Dominion voting systems switched 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden, according to OANN and Chanel Rion. Okay, first of all, I'm not shocked by this. Second of all, we kind of need some proof before we can actually run with this. That's why we're just starting here. There's nothing really to go on at this point besides, over a week of coverage right now that we've been doing on this. And you can see that everything was just kind of leading to this, but unless we get something to go on, they're just claims I find relatively believable, but there's nothing to really go on when it comes to this. But we can back check what's going on at Dominion software itself. So, first things first. 96% of Dominion voting systems political donations went to Democrats. We also know that they have been involved with the Clinton Foundation, and there's some stuff circulating around there about them being involved with Nancy Pelosi. Nothing that I could really confirm or anything, but once again, would it really surprise anybody? But the Clinton Foundation, the fact that they've been funded by them before, is out there as well. So that one you can kind of sort of confirm. The other stuff is a little bit hyperbolic at this point. The company in question, Dominion Voting Systems, improperly counted ballots to create fraudulent win for Joe Biden in Antrim County. That is the one where it's switched 6,000 votes in a glitch. Michigan, and caused several other glitches that required extending voting hours and delayed results, which was also the 1,000 votes that got flipped and led to the one Republican who conceded on the night in order to eventually win the seat that he was running for. So, yeah, exactly. No widespread, though, because those are two targeted attacks. Anyways, Federal Election Commissions, the FEC, its official records, however, reveal the company is overwhelmingly staffed by Democratic donors. Don't get your hopes too far up, though. I was just reading through this, and it's really doesn't mean a whole lot, but you know what? It might let you know where their heads are at. However, the company is overwhelmingly staffed by Democratic donors, perhaps contributing to the explanation of how the machines malfunctioned exclusively to Biden's benefit. Which, I don't know, man. Cite the source where there's equivalent flips happening on the other way. I have looked and can't find any. So, it seems to only be going in one direction. And that's what you guys have been seeing here. I've been trying. I want to be fair on this one. But, it's not happening in the other direction. So from 2014 to 2020, so 6-year span covering 2 midterms and a full presidential cycle, 2 full presidential cycles, and I don't know if that includes the 2014 midterms, but several cycles. 9 individuals who list Dominion Voting or Dominion Voting Soft Systems as their employer contributed money to national political campaigns, including the 2020 presidential election, totaling 96 donations. The sum between employees amounts to a little over $1,200. I don't know. I'm not exactly going to get my fucking panties in a bunch over the fact that, most people who contribute in these large multinational corporations that have had help setting up and getting off the ground from Clinton Foundation would overwhelmingly vote or support Democrats financially. I don't know. I think you guys should know that there are ties there, but $1,200, really? Come on. You guys can do a little bit better than that. But because this all has to do exclusively, what we know so far with the no instances of voter fraud, it's all happening right now in Michigan. And we got some good news coming out of Michigan. We got this right here from Michigan State Senator Lana Thies. As you are aware, the general election currently being conducted in the state of Michigan has generated a great deal of interest and concern among the people of Michigan, with a record number of over 5.4 million Michiganders participating in the electoral process. Every citizen deserves to have faith and integrity in the election process and its outcome. It is our responsibility as elected public servants to assure the people of Michigan of the process integrity through complete transparency and the faithful investigation of any allegations of wrongdoing, fraud, or abuse. Unfortunately, a number of serious allegations have been made which cannot and should not be ignored. First, in Antrim County, a glitch caused thousands of Michigan ballots, 6,000, that were meant for some candidates, President Trump, and were wrongly counted for the opposing candidate, one Joe Biden. While the issue was identified and corrected after observers flagged the unlikeliness of the outcome, it was unclear whether the issue replicated itself elsewhere. Antrim County is one of 47 counties alone in Michigan that use the software system at the issue, Dominion Voting System, sounds ominous, to process their ballots. This is particularly concerning when at least one other Secretary of State, specifically in Texas, refused to certify Dominion voting systems for use because the examiner could not verify that the system was safe from fraudulent or unauthorized manipulation. This raises questions over whether there are fundamental flaws in the software itself. Okay, that's just the first of many, many pages. And Lana Thies, State Senator, you are doing the Lord's work because you are requesting a full audit of the 2020 general election in Michigan, which is something that we desperately need. Like I said, I don't care. I do care who wins. My preference, obviously, is President Trump, but I just want to know what the fair shit is, okay? Who legally won? If Biden won, like I said, that would suck, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. As long as we know that these irregularities are being shook out and all the frauds being properly exposed, I just think at this point we're starting to see it only happening on one side, and if everything comes out to be relatively true, oh boy, I think that this is going to be bigger than anything else that you could possibly expect in your life. And then if you wanted to read the rest of the page here, I'll link it, of course, where it has most of the references to those sworn affidavits, 234 pages that Kayleigh McEnany had, where, people's birth dates when they didn't provide one, which is kind of essential to making your ballot legal and properly notarized. Their birth date was January 1st, 1900. Happy 121st birthday in a couple of months, I suppose. But speaking of Michigan Attorney General, Trump's lawsuits believe black people are corrupt. Black people are incompetent. What? 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 This bitch is fucking off her rocker. On Wednesday, Michigan's Attorney General, Dana Nessel, a Democrat, oh boy, color me shocked, and a vociferous opponent of President Trump, claimed that the Trump campaign's multiple lawsuits in the state of Michigan vis-a-vis purported election fraud were based on racist assumptions about black people. How could that be the fucking case? But, black people most affected. Nessel said, really, the theme that we see that persists are this: black people are corrupt, black people are incompetent, and black people can't be trusted. What? How? What? I don't get... He's filed lawsuits in Wisconsin. He's filed lawsuits in Arizona. He's filed lawsuits in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. Okay, bad example. He's filed lawsuits in Georgia. Okay, still a bad example. Race has less than nothing to do with this. But I guess if you're trying to appeal to the mainstream media, something I haven't seen lately is that all of these lawsuits and the fact that there is no evidence of voter fraud, and in fact it is a racist campaign, is something that they could definitely update their lower third with. I can see it now, and I can see it definitely taking place, but this bitch is fucking nuts when it comes to this. Nessel said that the lawsuits centered on Detroit, which is a majority black population, okay, rather than Oakland and Kent counties, whose majorities are white. She claimed the Trump's claims of election misconduct were demonstrably false. Alright, stupid. So I pulled up Maricopa County, the other location, specifically in Arizona, where the Trump team has filed a lawsuit for a recount. Okay, if it is a racial claim, the racial makeup, according to the 2010 census in Maricopa County, the county was 73% white, 5% black, 3.5% Asian, and Hispanics and Latinos make up 29.6% of the population. Let that sink in for a second. You are trying to add a qualifier where none exists. And that's what you see. Well, yesterday when we went through the New York Times article, they just like to add their little weasel words in there. So if you see any sort of claims of racism in there again, just, take that with a bag of salt, because there's nothing there. I didn't mean for this to be a segue, but we also got a little point here on Arizona. Okay, so the lady is going to be looking after the recount in Maricopa County and Arizona as a whole, because I don't think, as of time of recording, I'm not sure if they're done counting, but a shade under 12,000 votes separates Joe Biden and President Trump, which falls within the automatic recount margin. So at 5-4 local time, it's I don't know if it's done, but it's not done, if you know what I mean. But anyways, the bitch in charge of that thinks that everybody who's ever voted for President Trump is a goddamn neo-Nazi. And there it is. Wait long enough and you will eventually see the word Nazi in there. Her name is Katie Hobbs. She is a raging racist. Now, to be honest, this tweet was from August of 2017, so maybe her views have changed. They haven't. Donald Trump has made it abundantly clear he's more interested in pandering to his neo-Nazi base than being president for all Americans. This was in reference to the Very Fine People, which I have done a very fine job of debunking for you guys if you'd like to check out that video as well. But literally, she's going to be in charge of the recount, so I hope that there's poll observers there that aren't nutcases that see neo-Nazis everywhere. I'm hopeful, kind of like with this entire process. And last but not least, we gotta head over to Pennsylvania, where we actually have some concrete proof. We don't have any slanderous evidence of people donating to Democrats en masse, several million votes being destroyed or disregarded, and who knows, we actually got some concrete, brand new evidence. Pennsylvania court makes ruling in favor of the Trump campaign. Now, this is relatively significant. It's not, the ultimate decision that we want to see happen in Pennsylvania, but it's quite important. So the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania has ruled in favor of the Trump campaign. Weird. Remember the Attorney General saying that Trump was 0 for 6 in the state of Pennsylvania against them in lawsuits. Well, just in the past week, we've had Justice Alito drop the hammer on Pennsylvania, and they continued in defying him with that. And now we have this victory there, so can't really tote that undefeated record anymore, douchebag. So the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Court of Pennsylvania has ruled in favor of the Trump campaign in its ongoing efforts to contest the apparent results of the election following apparent irregularities in the voting process. In a ruling on Thursday, a judge ordered the state may not count ballots where voters needed to provide proof of identification and failed to do so by November 9th, which, if you really can't figure your shit out 6 days on from the election, holy fuck, do you really deserve to have your voice counted at the same level as intelligent human beings? I don't know, man. We should be looking at a different type of voting system. According to Pennsylvania state laws, voters have until 6 days after the election or November 9th to cure problems regarding a lack of proof of identification. 6 fucking days, seriously? Ballots that fail a certification are automatically invalidated, but that doesn't matter, right? After the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that mail-in ballots could be accepted 3 days after Election Day, which is still creepy, Secretary of State Kathy Brockvar, great human being, sent in guidance that said proof of identification could be provided up until November 12th. Yay! That's longer than November 9th, which is 3 additional days from the ballot acceptance deadline. She issued her guidance 2 days before Election Day. Oh, of course. Guidance that the court has now found to be invalid. Well. The court concludes that respondent Kathy Brockvar, in her official capacity as Secretary of the Commonwealth, lacked statutory authority to issue the November 1st, 2020 guidance. To respondents, county boards of officials insofar as the guidance purported to change the deadline for certain electors to verify proof of identification, Judge Mary Hannah Levitt said in a court order as obtained by... Gotta give props to Fox News. The judge's ruling is in line with the Trump campaign's argument, which there is no basis in Pennsylvania state law to extend identification deadline. Brockvar does not have the authority to change the law. Yes, she's merely the Secretary of State. She's not on any sort of court or an elected official. She was appointed to that position. The court previously ruled in favor of the Trump campaign to segregate ballots where voters provided identification between November 10th and 12th until a ruling was issued to determine what to do with the late ballots. Judge Levitt ruled on Thursday that those ballots will not be counted. There we go. The Trump campaign is currently awaiting a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court to determine whether Pennsylvania Supreme Court acted properly in its action to grant a 3-day extension for accepting mail-in ballots. Now, this is important. Now, it doesn't, on the face of it, it doesn't really seem important. Oh, okay, these extra ballots that came in after the fact, who cares? Well, as you can see, yesterday or the day before, I had Real Clear Politics up, and they didn't have Pennsylvania called for anybody. They had it off the board until everything kind of shook out and they could figure out who was actually going to win it. Now they have it called for Biden and Harris right now. And as you can see, that the margins are so slim, under a point. 50, just a shade, so 54,000 votes, 54.5. Would you necessarily say that that is enough to make a definitive answer? I don't know. I figured that we'll probably have to go to a recount there, which seems highly likely based on what's happening in places like Pennsylvania, or rather Philadelphia. And yes, Pennsylvania is another place that uses Dominion voting software. So this ruling, because there are multiple lawsuits in the very highly contested states that the Trump campaign has put forth to the different courts around the country, could have a certain level of precedent out there where these actions can be more unilaterally applied out there. So in regards to late ballots showing up and different heads of the state there taking their own personal bias into it and allowing them or disallowing them depending on how they feel that day. There's a lot more problems than just the late ballots that needed to get fixed up in Pennsylvania, but this is definitely a win of some sorts. Is it the most significant or groundbreaking thing? Most of the damage was already done by the 9th anyways. We'll just have to see with that full audit from Georgia, if anything happens further in Michigan, and ultimately what happens with that crazy bitch out there in Arizona. It sucks dick that there's so many states that need to go through this process because all of these votes need to be certified as defined by the constitutions at different points in December. So, yeah. This needs to get done too sweet. That'll about do it for today's election fraud, irregularities, voting, whatever you want to call it these days. That little wrap up here. It's, sounds like a lot of a precursor of things to come. So, till we get more information, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.